So you did bring up expectations, and one thing that a lot of people feel about D1 athletes is they think about like all like the accolades, all the things that you get swimming in front of hundreds of thousands of fans. They think of all like the part of it, but being a D1 athlete, there's obviously expectations that is had on you. Can you talk about those expectations and maybe how they not only affect swimming, but like how mentally difficult it is? Because like you've had a ton of success. So you have expectations, your coach has expectations. If you don't reach those, disappointment or conversations were probably had.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. That's like I think part what makes swimming so hard, but also so like why I'm so grateful for it is just the fact that you can train hours and hours and hours throughout a season, and if you're a sprinter, like all of that is for 18 seconds.
Yeah.
So all of that training, and if you're a tenth off, you can be disappointed in your results. So that's what makes swimming something so special is that you have to be so perfect, and everything kind of has to line up right. But yeah, no, it's definitely challenging having those expectations. But like I said earlier, like the team makes it a lot easier to manage those, right? Like you're not just doing it for yourself. You're doing it for a group of people who have like-minded goals, and if you don't reach them, they're there for you, but they're also there to encourage you to reach those goals.
Exactly, and having that encouragement, having those teammates there obviously do help, especially when you're going through maybe like a difficult practice or maybe you're not obviously swimming as well as you want to. Like, what kind of happens for those difficult practices? Like, are like people like talking to each other, like just kind of go through maybe like what a practice looks like for you guys, especially the ones that you walk in and you look at the board and you're like, okay, this is not necessarily going to be the most fun because I'm sure as someone that swam for a long time, you can probably tell pretty early on if it's going to be a fun or not so fun day.
Yeah, I know for sure. I think that on the days that you kind of get there, and it could depend, right? Like there are days where we won't have enough time to stop and talk. Like that's just the way it is. But you also have difficult practices where it could be high rest, where you're building lactate and things like that. And I think during those practices you get kind of the more encouraging side of things. If you're not, I mean, I'll be honest, like we've got a really competitive environment, and that's something that I love is that like if you're not at your best, like someone will call you out for it. And, if you're complaining or like your body language isn't good, that sort of thing, like you kind of have to accept that accountability and be better. Like and your teammates will tell you that. But that's something that's a lot different in college swimming because everyone has such high goals.
Yeah, everyone wants to reach those goals. Everyone wants those other teammates to reach those goals as well. It's about having that accountability, and maybe that's something that someone has to like learn throughout the way. But like, it's probably something that you have to learn pretty early on, or it's going to be real rough if you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
So, speaking of rough practices, at NC State, what would your hardest practice or maybe the hardest set you've ever done?
Oh boy. I don't really remember from NC State. I think last year we did a pretty rough one that I was pretty good at, where it was 8 swims. The main set was 8 swims. It was the odds were an 800 on 8 minutes, or maybe on 9 minutes, but go under 8 minutes, and then the short course. This was all short course, and then a 400 IM descend 1 to 4. So each one got faster with the 800 in between, and
Okay.
we were suited up for that. I think I got down to like 351 or something from a push.
Okay. I was just gonna say because it doesn't necessarily have to be at NC State. I'm sure you probably have a specific set that you're like never want to do again either.
Yeah, I actually talked about this I think on another podcast I did, but I was in club, and it was during winter training, and I think it was called like crazy set or something like that. Because my coach would always put hashtags and then write a hashtag name for the set.
Yeah.
So it was like hashtag crazy set or something, and it was 2050s on 45 from a running dive, or maybe it was 50. from a running dive, 2100s, best average, and it was like 5 minutes between each set. Uh, then a mile IM, reverse IM, backwards for time, and then we had to go put our tech suits on and do 5 200s off the block all out for time.
How brutal was the mile IM?
The mile IM really wasn't anything that, that wasn't the concerning part. It was the 5 200s off the block for time. That was really what I was worried about. And looking back on it, I think if I saw that on a practice, I'd be like, "Oh my goodness!" Like, I don't know how I did it, but I think back then it was just like, well, everyone else is doing it, so it's not that bad.
It's probably one of those sets that you look at and you're like, "I don't know how I finished it," but it's almost one of those situations as a swimmer, you just kinda continue to go and just somehow you finish it, and you just don't know how, but you just did it, and then,
Yeah,
obviously, once practice is done, then you're pretty happy at that point.
yeah, exactly.
So I kind of want to get a little bit back to expectations because obviously your senior year, one more year left, but you won a ACC championship in the 400 IM. You have gone to the Olympic trials where you finished sixth. When you hear those accomplishments, does that motivate you knowing that you can do that, or just does that put a little bit more weight on your shoulders knowing that you've succeeded that so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. Like, you're grateful for obviously like all of the things that, I've obviously accomplished, but I can't get there alone. And so it kind of like brings a little sense of gratitude of like the coaches and the people that have surrounded me, because if I did not have them, then, my family and things like that, like I would not have ever been in that position. It also adds a little bit of a chip to your shoulder because you've been there and kind of done that. I think that your failures kind of add a little bit more of a chip. Like, I didn't win that ACC title last year; I was second. So, things like that obviously motivate you. And yeah, like it's a little bit of both.